KineMed is working on what might be considered the great paradox at the center of modern biomedicine. We know more and more about every gene and every protein in the human body, and yet we still cannot control or treat or prevent most of the common diseases of modern life. Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, obesity, diabetes, cancer, chronic liver disease, and so on. The Human Genome Project identified every gene, essentially, in human beings. And despite that, we really haven't come up with the flood of new cures that people had anticipated. In the 1990s, we developed more good new drugs than we do now, despite a more than doubling of research effort and all this knowledge we have about molecular biology. A gene is very far away from a disease endpoint. The problem is linking a molecular target to a disease outcome. What you really need to know is the measurements in a person that tell you, are they getting worse? Are they getting better? Is a medicine working? Is a new medicine going to be effective? And these measurements, these linkers, are called biomarkers. A biomarker is just a biological measurement that helps you understand or manage a disease condition. Most people are familiar with the idea of a biomarker. Blood pressure is a biomarker, blood cholesterol, an EKG, a chest x-ray, a strep throat culture, an HIV test. These are all biomarkers that we take for granted in daily life. But unfortunately, for the really complicated chronic diseases of modern life, we don't have biomarkers that can really guide us in the same way. For disease like Alzheimer's, we ask, can you remember 3 objects? Are you having trouble getting to work? These are such crude markers compared to a biomarker test that would really guide our management of the patient. So the primary mission of KineMed has been to identify and validate biomarker tests that capture the causes of chronic complex diseases. These diseases are complicated, and the only answer that really has emerged so far has been to identify the activity of the processes that are driving the disease. Let me give a couple of examples. We are working with the Michael J. Fox Foundation on identifying markers of whether nerve cells in Parkinson's disease are working properly or not working properly. When those processes go wrong, there's death or dysfunction of the nerves. And then, of course, there are medicines that can be used to modulate and monitor the operation and function of these nerve cells. Another problem that's becoming increasingly prevalent in the United States and Europe is the loss of muscle mass as people get older. This has been called frailty or sarcopenia and results in a lot of public health consequences. People fall down, they break their hip, they have to go into nursing homes, their quality of life is dramatically worsened. So we've been working with the Gates Foundation, the U.S. Army, and a number of biotech companies to develop tests of how much muscle mass you have right now and how much muscle you're making for the future. KineMed's tests are different than really all the other biomarker tests that are out there because we measure with a single point in time, a single test, the rate at which the processes that drive disease are occurring in an individual. And rates are so much better than just telling you what the concentration is at any single moment in time because they tell you where it's going in a way that will predict the future.